A few months after releasing the Catwalk C, CatVR is back at it again, this time with the very first add-on for their consumer-based VR treadmill. Having previously reviewed the Catwalk C, it was only appropriate to cover this module that is sure to increase immersion even further. This time I'll show you the Haptic Feedback Module. Everything comes well packed inside the box, and it also comes with an instructions card. The rest of the content includes the haptic device itself, a USB connector with power connector, and a cable tie. CatVR recommends attaching the haptic device to a separate beam, but I've chosen the same one that runs my treadmill cable so I can keep both cables tied together. Grab your haptic module and the tool included with your VR treadmill and unscrew the screws. Now you want to measure 30 mm from the end of the beam's foot and attach your haptic module to it. Screw the screws back in. And make sure you tighten the bolts firmly. Now grab the power cable that came in the box and connect it to the haptic device. Then turn it 90 degrees to lock it in place, aligning it with this spot here. Grab your cable tie and tighten it around the cables to secure them in place. Now get a hold of the USB cables and connect them to two 3.0 USB ports in your computer. Now let's take a look at how the Haptic Feedback Module works in a few VR games. Now we're going to start by opening the CatVR app and then going over to the Haptic tab, which is new, and we can see there's a couple of options we can play around with. Now obviously you can turn on and off, and you can also choose how you trigger the haptic vibration. So you can do it by the controller vibration or with lateral, backwards, and cruise movement. I don't really use the 3 last a lot, but we're gonna play mostly with the controller vibration. Right now we're gonna check how it feels in different levels of intensity. So it defaults to number 5, so we're gonna leave it at 5 for now. And right from the get-go, in Start VR for instance, if you grab your weapon, then you can see that it starts vibrating. So I'm unsure if you guys can hear the catwalk vibrating, so I'm gonna do it again. There you go, hopefully you could hear that, and it is quite audible. Now obviously I'm using an index, which means my headphones are a bit away from my ears, but if you're using an Oculus or Revive, then your ears are blocked. You probably are not going to be able to hear it, but it is quite audible. Not as audible as the footsteps you take on while walking or running on the treadmill, but you can definitely hear it. When it comes to intensity, you can feel it very well. I can feel it trembling throughout my legs and my shoes. It doesn't really go up my waist or up my torso. If I take my gun and I shoot, each shot I take makes the catwalk vibrate as well as my controllers. So again, I'm not sure if you can hear that vibrating, but hopefully you can, so you can have an idea. When it comes to Stride VR, if you are running, you can't really feel while running, but if you grab onto things, then you will. Because grabbing onto things in this game does trigger the controller vibration, which means that it will also trigger vibration on the Haptic Feedback Module. So now I want to play around a little bit with the intensity. So let's start in number 1, or well, 0 is off, but let's start in number 1 and see how it feels in comparison. Ooh, okay. So at number 1, I cannot feel it. I feel ever so slightly on the sole of my right foot, but I don't feel it anywhere else, and I can still hear it. It's unnecessary to have it at 1 because you're not really gonna feel it, at least not in this environment. As for number 2, okay, now number 2 is better. So number 2, I can feel it on both my feet, and it doesn't go up my legs. Now it's still audible, obviously. The only thing that it just breaks a little bit of the immersion when it comes to the sound, but otherwise it does feel cool. It's kind of interesting to have this sort of like haptic feedback going on over here. Let's increase it to 3 now and see how it feels. Okay, so funnily enough, 3 actually goes up to my waist, so I can feel it up my legs. I feel it on my shoes and on the back side of my waist. Now it might be because of the way I'm touching like the back side of the belt, but I think level 3 might be a very good standard, or a very nice base level to be at. Because you can feel it very well, and well enough that it's not as loud as level 5, but it's intense enough that you can feel it in an interesting way. If we go over to 4, yeah, definitely a lot louder, for sure. Definitely a lot louder, and I still feel it. So between 4 and 3, I would recommend using 3 because the difference I'm feeling is not really noticeable at all. But if we go over to 5, then yeah, so 5 goes up my legs. 4 doesn't, but 5 goes up my legs. And now finally let's check 6, which is the maximum. Okay, so yeah, with 6 I can feel it all throughout my legs and up to my waist. Yeah, so 6 is a lot stronger. I don't think it's really necessary to be at 6. Between 5 and 6, I feel like 5 would be better. I'm just trying to check like the relation with like comparing the intensity with the sound and just the quality of the experience, I would say. 3 is a nice number, but between 3 and 5 are both nice numbers to be at, I would say. Now, I'm kind of curious to see while I'm running. Okay, because I'm running and I hear the footsteps, I can really hear the vibration itself, but I do feel a little bit. Obviously not as much as when I'm standing still because, you know, my legs are moving, so I'm not constantly in touch with the bass. For intensity levels, for control vibration, and my personal experience, I think 3 and 5 are 2 nice levels to be at. Now, when it comes to lateral, backward, and cruise movement, I will have to turn those on because I don't usually use them. And we'll just have to trigger them now. So we're at level 2 of intensity. Let's do some cruise movement over here. So, okay, I see. And now some backwards movement. So level 2, again, level 2 is very, very light. So we're going to increase it to level 3 on all the movement types. And we're going to try doing the cruise movement. Okay, yeah. Now backwards. That is much better than level 2. Because with level 2, you can hear it, but you can't feel anything. But with level 3, you can hear it, but you can also feel it. And now let's try level 4 and see what that feels like. So for cruise movement. Okay. Backwards movement. Okay. And lateral movement, I still haven't done that. Okay. All right. So level 4 feels nice because with level 4 for movement, you can feel it stronger on your legs than when it's like control the vibration stuff. So I feel like level 4 or 3 might be a good level to be at. Let's see what 5 feels like. Okay, I feel like 5 is too much for what you're getting here when it comes to movement. It doesn't feel, you know, I'm feeling too much and hearing too much for what I'm just doing, which is just walking. And 6 is obviously going to be even stronger than that. Yeah, I'm not even gonna keep trying because 6 for movement doesn't feel too right. I feel like 3 or 4 might be. I'm gonna stick with 3 personally. I feel like 3 is a good base for all of them. I like 3. Now, obviously, this is going to end up being subjective, and a lot of you might prefer other options and everything. Now we're trying Phasmophobia, and I'm kind of interested to see what kind of things in Phasmophobia will actually trigger a vibration. So apparently picking objects up does it, and also putting them in your waist does too. Okay, let's get inside the house. Ooh, spooky. So now we want to see what kind of interactions in Phasmophobia actually trigger vibrations, which I'm actually unsure if there's a lot. I don't really remember there being a lot. Okay, so Sandra Williams seems to be in the kitchen or in the dining room. Level 5. We have a level 5 ghost. I'm basically trying to trigger a hunt just to see if there's going to be any haptic feedback with that.
5 minutes later.
Sandra Williams. Oh, there she is. Okay. So there's no vibration so far. Yeah, she's right there. Okay, now let's catch her. Yeah. Okay, there's no vibrations. Yep, nope. No vibrations at all. I just lost all my items. Oh well, it's fine. But yeah, there's no vibrations whatsoever when she hunts. So I feel like for Phasmophobia devs and even other devs around there, if you'd like for your game to interact with things like the haptic feedback module for the Cat VR or for the Catwalk C, then you could definitely have options to opt into some vibration controls to where, for instance, in Phasmophobia, you could have a setting where you could toggle on vibrations during hunts. So then your controllers would vibrate during a hunt, which would trigger the Catwalk C to also vibrate thanks to the haptic feedback module. Now, imagine being in a dark room, super scared that you might start getting hunted at any given point, and then all of a sudden it starts hunting you, and there's the ghost sounds, and there's a certain vibration of the treadmill you're standing on. That would scare the heck out of me, honestly. So there is something that's worth looking into. Now we're gonna go for a last game, and that's gonna be Pavlov. So now we're in Pavlov, and you can see that right from the get-go, if we grab the weapon, it makes it vibrate. So obviously shooting will do it as well. Now we're gonna try and kill some dudes and see how the haptic feedback module will react. So we got an enemy right here. There we go, he's dead. That's pretty cool, not gonna lie. Pavlov is a great game for the VR treadmill with the haptic feedback module, precisely because since it's a war game, there's just a bunch of vibrations going on in-game, which means it makes it a lot more immersive. So I would say war games are probably the best type of games that you can use the haptic feedback module on. Now let's also try to see how it works with the grenade. It vibrates when you pull the trigger and drop it. Okay, but it doesn't vibrate when you get shot or when you get blown up. Yeah, feeling the vibration when you shoot a weapon is probably the best part about using this in a FPS. Great stuff. Now we are in a botless match, and that's just so we can test some of the trigger levels, intensity levels. So right now, if we go over to the haptic tab, we can see that everything is in 3. We're mostly gonna check the controller vibration here. So let's go over to 1 first of all, and see shoot. Okay, you can't feel it whatsoever. With 2, still no. And 3. Yeah, so 3 is pretty good because 3 you can already definitely feel something throughout your body, especially on your shoes and your waist. And it makes it feel like, I guess, realistic more so in a way, just considering the fact that you're shooting a weapon and you're actually feeling the vibrations of the weapon throughout your body, which is pretty insane. So let's go over to 4 now. 4 feels a little bit more realistic with this weapon. I feel like maybe if it was a pistol, then 3 would be better. And 5, okay, 5 is too much, and obviously 6 will be too much as well. Yeah, so 5 and 6 are no go. Just I wouldn't go with a 5 or a 6, but 3 and 4 seem to be great. I'm probably going to stick to 3 maybe, again, because there's a whole thing with comparing the experience and the intensity level with the audio and the volume of how audible the haptic feedback module is. So I would say that for something like a 3, you're probably going to get a very good experience. But anyway, so this was the review for the haptic feedback module, and I hope it could shed some light on how it is and what kind of levels you can be on. Now, there obviously, like most things, it's not absolutely like completely perfect, but also do keep in mind this is pioneer technology, right? And it's so crazy to be able to be, I guess, one of the first people to test this kind of technology. It's so cool. It's so cool to be able to experience something like this and actually be here at this point in time. Like VR is crazy, but it has some flaws. It can get sometimes a little bit frustrating depending on what you're doing. Even in Pavlov, when I was trying to grab my weapon or reload and stuff, like there are some actions there you don't expect there to be any sorts of vibrations for the action you're doing, but because the controllers vibrate, then the feedback module will also vibrate inevitably. So sometimes it can get a little bit frustrating to just constantly feel a vibration when you don't want it to vibrate. So earlier I was like trying to grab my gun, but then my this hand came over to this grenade because I crouched, and so it was vibrating because of the grenade, and then I had to do this with my hand and then grab, and then when I was grabbing the gun, it started vibrating, and that makes sense, because I'm grabbing the gun. And then only when I pick it up and I grab the gun on the grip, then that's fine. But there are some things where you are not expecting there to be a vibration, but there will be, and that can get a little bit frustrating. But again, like, we're talking about pioneering technology over here, right? We're talking about things that are being launched for the first time, and my God, how I appreciate that this kind of technology is being released like this and for consumers, and that we can actually get to experience this. So obviously it's do keep those points in mind, but it is otherwise really fun to experience, like especially in a game like Pavlov. If you're running around and just shooting things and you're feeling the vibration of you shooting, like that's probably the coolest part about this, right? From these few tests that I made, with Stride, Phasmophobia, and here in Pavlov, Pavlov was definitely the best game for this kind of device. So yeah, there you go. Right now, I am unsure if there is a way to get the haptic feedback module separately, because this was a stretch goal and I got it from the Kickstarter. If there is a way, or if eventually there will be a way, I will update the description accordingly and include a link so you could find where to get it. Although I'm saying this, but I'm also not sure if for those who are getting the Catwalk C only now, if it will automatically ship with the feedback module, which I believe it would, considering it was a stretch goal. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, absolutely leave a comment down below. Feel free to contact me. And drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more content. And I'll see you next time. Goodbye.